Good evening, colleagues. My name is Sifiso Mukwena, and I'm facilitating tonight's session. It's an interesting session we are having here in Tshwane under the banner of the Black Management Forum Young Professionals chapter. So I am the deputy chairperson here at Tshwane, and we are having an exciting evening tonight where we are discussing cybersecurity, particularly with all these things that comes with that enables us to work, do e-commerce and study at home, all these things that are brought by the 4RI. One person said with great power comes great responsibility. And I think as we have embraced all the technologies that we have today, we have also find ourselves with having a sense of responsibility. How do we protect ourselves as professionals in the workplace? How do we protect ourselves in our personal space, protecting our data with the gadgets that we are using? How do we protect ourselves in our businesses as we interact with clients and as we upscale our businesses and putting them out there, embracing technology? And how do we protect ourselves with all those cyber threats that may be available? Some of them we are aware, we are not aware. And tonight we have a very distinguished guest that is in that space. He knows a lot about all these things. Linda Khumalo is joining us to give us an idea of what needs to be done when we want to protect ourselves in these 4IR days, particularly when it comes to that element of cybersecurity. So I'm going to bring him in to take us through his presentation. But the first thing that I want to mention to you guys, that if you at any time you have a question, just type it there in our Q&A tab. And during the course of the evening, we will be able to go through those questions where possible, and those that we are not finishing, we'll then tackle them at the end. So let the discussions flow. I've seen the chats have started. We welcome you, Lindiwe, as well. Welcome to everybody. Let's participate, let's learn, let's empower each other. Mr. Khumalo.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to address you tonight around this important topic. And as we have agreed that the title of the topic today is it's just simple to say, how do you safely participate in this fourth industrial revolution? I'm from a company called Safe Cyber Life, where we're always asking people like a very simple question: how safe are you online? So I'm going to take you through the presentation, and like Mr. Mkwena has said, if there are any questions, we can load them up on the question and answers, and I think we'll keep watching the Q&A box as we move on. And I think at some point in time, when we finish, we'll probably be able to deal with those questions. But if there's some that are pending as I'm continuing to speak, if I can respond to those questions, I will simply do that as they come through. As I am going to start now, there is I'm not a fan of some of these European leaders, but one guy once said this statement that there is nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. I think it was a French poet called Victor Hugo. And I always say, on the base of that, one has to understand that 4IR is here. And the idea is for all of us to wake up and take control of our digital life, because if you think about it, the foundation of the 4IR is based on this logo. I'm sure a lot of us have seen this logo, just to give you a sense that this is the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution, and it is called the internet connectivity. It exists everywhere. It exists in your bank card. If you take out your card right now, many of you usually tap, and when you tap, I don't think you understand the extent at which you are now participating in this 4IR journey, so to speak. In fact, when you think about it, the developments that have taken place in the world, one of them is called the hands-free pickpocket. I'm going to play this video, and then I'll continue the talk after that.
Information without ever laying a hand on you Excuse me, is there a Macy's in this mall, do you know? No Macy's. Watch closely. This woman is about to get ripped off. Thanks, appreciate it. In a matter of seconds, this thief effortlessly pickpockets 4 unsuspecting shoppers without ever laying a finger on their purses or wallets. Excuse me. What if I told you he stole one of your credit cards?
I wouldn't believe you.
Take out your MasterCard. Does that MasterCard end in the numbers 2594?
Yes, 2594.
Expires at 413?
That's right.
He just stole that credit card information from you.
How did you do that?
All it takes is this simple move. All I have to do is get right about there, and I can pick off your card number. Hidden inside this case is a credit card reader, just like the ones you see used in the normal course of business at drugstores, fast food chains, and taxis. But in the blink of an eye, criminals could electronically pick up your credit card information. The technology is called radio frequency identification, and you may not even know you have it. But if you see a symbol like this on the back of your credit card, you can simply wave it and presto, instant payment. Excuse me, sir, do you have time? Fortunately, this guy is no thief. Walt Augustinowicz runs Identity Stronghold, a company that protects consumers from ID theft. All right, what number did you get? Amex card ending in 41009, expiration 06-2013. That's my card. You picked my pocket. Yeah. Without even going into my pocket. He says the technology is a dream come true for electronic pickpocketers because the crime is virtually untraceable. Malls like this one in New York City are a perfect target. Excuse me, is there a Macy's in this mall, do you know?
No Macy's.
No Macy's? Shoppers we approached had no idea they had just been ripped off. What if I told you that he just finished stealing one of your credit cards?
I'd be surprised.
Ending in the numbers 2059, expires in 1016. Is that your whole number?
It is.
He just stole your credit card and you had no idea.
It's frightening. Very frightening.
The major credit card companies insist their cards are secure because of multiple built-in security features, including protecting your name and address. But we wanted to check that out. Could we actually buy something using an electronically pickpocketed credit card? Looking to make an order off your website, please. I electronically picked off my colleague's credit card, and with his permission, I went shopping. Say Visa 4427. It was almost too easy. Using a fraudulent name and address, I had no problem ordering this $30 sweatshirt from LL Bean. But would the bogus transaction get flagged? Apparently not. And here it is, just a few days later, the package I ordered arrived, and it didn't cost me a dime. Went from April.
Now, the sad thing about it is that in this country, the whole notion of these cards that are here is people are getting them from their banks. And when they get them from their banks, I don't know why the banks are not doing this as strong as they are supposed to. Every time when they give a card, they're supposed to tell you that you need to have a wallet that has that RFID protection. Maybe at some level, those who are doing private banking, they get to be told, but the masses out there don't have it. And how you see this, if you're on how train, you see people putting their back on the 10-step this gate when they have to get into the how drain, and they don't understand how risky it is for them to have that. So in my view, this is just the foundation of understanding how much a dangerous life we're living when it comes to cybercrime. So again, like I said, the foundation is this sign that tells us that there's internet connectivity as the foundation of the towards the fourth industrial revolution. But then maybe let's unpack this internet. What is this internet? Let's understand the internet on the basis of its structure. The internet has got 3 layers. The first layer of the internet is called the surface web. The surface web is what we call the indexable websites, about google.com, Netflix, a lot of the websites that can be indexed, that can be found on a public directory. And I think they constitute less than 10% of the whole internet, if you think of the internet as this whole iceberg here. those websites are publicly accessed, and everyone can access those websites. Then there is another level of the internet. It's called the deep web. This is where you find all the government information, financial information. In fact, your internet banking is sitting in the deep web. Usually, some of the sites that are sitting here are not indexable, and those that are even indexable, a lot of them have username and password as an example for you to access your internet. It's all sitting on the deep web. In fact, I always say to people who tell you that they are not on the internet, government resources uses the deep web a lot to engage on people's information because of the level of securities that they are convinced of within the deep web. So the deep web is, I would say, the majority of the internet is the as you can see it. Then you have the dark web. The dark web is where you find very, very, very interesting things happening. In the dark web, you actually even need special tools to be in the dark web. You need a special browser. The deep and the surface web, you need to have, the normal browsers such as Chrome, Explorer, and so forth. But on the dark web, you need special browsers. One of them is called Tor. And in the dark web, a lot of, I would say, bad things also happen in the dark web, where you find drug traffickers and illegal human trafficking is also happening in the dark web, where people are selling people, and political protests with the hacktivists are actually happening in the dark web, where people can be anonymous in the dark web, and you can act in a manner that you need to have some very advanced technical skills to be operating in the dark web. So these are the three layers of the internet. And if you really think about it, because the internet is moving so fast, there's what is called the calendar year of the internet. With our 10 calendar weeks, the internet year is equivalent to those 10 calendar weeks. In fact, it's getting shorter now. If you think of the COVID-19, that has fast-tracked a lot of cybercrime, and because of that, all the software developers have actually been reducing the calendar years because of the pressure of them to release a lot of the patches to the attacks that they have. So because of the fact that the internet is moving too fast, we cannot continue to be passive, because if you think about it, our communities are very passive on the internet. And I can bet you that a lot of people in their careers, when they think of the internet, they only think of it as an enabler. They don't, some of them don't even think of it as the main journey these days to the future. We need to catch up as a matter of agency. And unfortunately, we can't expect government and institutions to respond on our behalf, because they are also catching up. I always say, when it comes to the internet, the tail is wagging the dog, because a lot of legislation that comes up in our country, sometimes it comes after developments have already happened. And sometimes when you talk to parliamentarians, you realize that challenges are very, very, very steep for them to understand this. One of the examples was the recent discussion on over the top. If you think about how what they call over the top services such as Facebook, WhatsApp, and now even Netflix, how they've taken over the country. They even gone ahead of what we call digital migration that has been overtaken by the likes of Netflix. So this is the internet that is the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution. So if you understand the structure of the internet, it becomes easy to start unpacking the fourth industrial revolution. Now, what's his name? Elon Musk always talks of the danger of the technology or computers having taken over the world in what we call singularity. So we're saying before the machines take over the world, I'm saying this talk today is about saying, let us at least start to unpack this. Let us unpack what is the fourth industrial revolution. And maybe let's talk about what are the life aspects that are going to be impacted by the fourth industrial revolution. And last but not least, I will answer the question, how do I propose that we can safely participate in this fourth industrial revolution? So all of these are the main sections of the presentation tonight, then that can be followed by a discussion. So what is the fourth industrial revolution? not too long ago, our deputy president was asked about the first, second, and the third, because you cannot talk about the fourth industrial revolution before you understand the other industrial revolution. So maybe let me go through them so that we can be on the same page. But whilst I do that, the reference material I use for this presentation, by the way, is a book we wrote called The Introduction to Digital Technology and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And when you join us on safecyberlife.com, you get the electronic version of this book that you can read at your leisure at home. But a lot of the material on this presentation, I refer to this book, and you will also see the reference to the various chapters of this book so that we can also have a very academic and probably more intellectual engagement moving forward, which I hope we can also have other sessions that can be follow-up to this. So maybe let's unpack then, and let's talk about the chronological order of things around the industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolutions, they say it was the transition on the manufacturing processes during these years. And these were the years where we used, as human beings, we're using steam as power. And here we were doing production of things, you know, like handcrafts. So people would maybe do one handcrafted belt. So craftsmanship was the order of the day here, that, you know, this was handcrafted by Soren. So some of those businesses are still there using the first industrial revolution manufacturing processes. And I'm just going to mention to you the issues of energy here and the issues of how manufacturing was done, because industrial revolution has to do with industrial activities of the world. Now, it was human beings who were really running the first industrial revolution. They were driving all the issues around the steam. If you think about the steam, it's human beings. You have to get coal, you have to put it in there, put in the water, and get that steam power and so forth. It then moved to the second industrial revolution, which was still also driven by human beings, when electricity was discovered, that, you know, people can generate electricity with hydropower, with coal and so forth. And here, because of the human beings going for urbanization, things such as mass production was needed, and all the production lines that you see today were actually designed during the second industrial revolution. And the power and the energy here, energy in the first industrial revolution was steam, and the energy in the second industrial revolution became electricity. And it went all the way up to just around the start of the First World War. But a lot of the second industrial revolution developments, such as the production lines that you see in factories, actually came from the second industrial revolution. And then we had the third industrial revolution, which is called the digital industrial revolution. In fact, a lot of people confuse the digital industrial revolution with the fourth industrial revolution. Here it was still human beings. I would say human beings who are still running it, but this is when computers began to control those production houses, those manufacturing factories and so forth. And those of us who grew up during this era, you will remember people losing jobs because a machine has now been put in to automate production and to start becoming more efficient than a human being. And you're starting to see automation that was happening in this digital industrial revolution. It's still happening today in banks and so forth. And sometimes it can be confused with the fourth industrial revolution. And again, human beings here were still playing a leading role with our intellectual power behind all the work that was happening in the third industrial revolution. Now enter the fourth industrial revolution. I would say, if you ask me, I'm probably less than 10, 15, 20% into the fourth industrial revolution, because I think we're touching just the rudimentary elements of the fourth industrial revolution. This is where you are starting to see machine learning and the machines starting to take decisions on behalf of human beings, and machines starting to do things at a level that human beings can't even do. And I'm going to unpack the fourth industrial revolution elements, because here you are even starting to seeing the fusion of the different academic spaces or sectors coming together into taking advantage of this machine learning and also using the internet as the superhighway to pass the signals between one industry to another. Now, what are the elements of the fourth industrial revolution? So by the way, this is also showing you just a pictorial view of how the fourth, the second, the third, and the fourth, the first, the second, and the third, and the fourth industrial revolution has evolved. Again, I want to emphasize this. The third industrial revolution is still taking place, especially in countries like ours. In fact, in the whole world, you still find a lot of things that are still based on the third industrial revolution. I'm going to divert just a little bit before I unpack the fourth industrial revolution, because I want to talk around how we as human beings have adapted, or our bodies need to adapt to the fourth industrial revolution, to the industrial revolutions. And I'm going to talk about the food pyramid according to the industrial revolutions. In the first industrial revolution, because it was human beings, in fact, first and the second, human beings working very hard, it was manpower, and it was people going out there lifting things, in the factories and so forth. We needed a lot of energy. And here, that's why the food pyramid that was developed during the time is the food pyramid that looks like this, where you have at the base the carbohydrates and the veggies coming in, and the proteins and maybe the fat, oil, and sugar there on top. But at the bottom, the foundation was the ipapa, to get that energy so that we can work. But if you think about it, in the third industrial revolution, we really don't need a lot of these energy sources, such as pasta, bread, and all these high carbohydrate food. And it's even worse on the fourth industrial revolution, because the machines are doing all the work and so forth. In fact, that's the reason why some of these advanced countries, they have national nutritional plans to talk about how human beings have to adapt to these industrial revolutions. That's why if you look at your Germans, your French, and so forth, the issue of the obesity in those countries is not as rife as it is for us, where we're still left having a lot of carbohydrates. That's why in homes right now, when you get a plate, and maybe very little fruits and veggies, and whereas this is where we're supposed to be at. And I'm just showing you so that you can understand how human beings are also affected by this industrial revolution and how visible it is becoming in our communities. I mean, obesity these days is so sad. And if you look at our kids, you look at schools, you look at how people are dying of diseases that are linked to obesity. I always say that it's also linked to this industrial revolution because of the fact that all of that hard work is no longer needed. I mean, today we do a lot of Zoom, we do a lot of work sitting at home. We don't even exercise that much because you're Zooming from the morning until the evening, and the food that you eat, therefore, is supposed to help you to make sure that at least there's still some healthy living that you have. Now, let me go back to another angle of this fourth industrial revolution and looking at the geopolitical view of 4IR. It was Germany who really led this whole developments around the fourth industrial revolutions, and I think around 2006, and I think some of us at the time were starting to work for companies like Siemens, and we started to understand how much the Germans were thinking ahead of this, and they came up with plans. And hence today, if you look at all the German cars, they are so advanced. I don't know if you know, you have a lot of these German cars, they even have Wi-Fi networks inside the car to show you how much they've been ready for this. And this was a major development that triggered the understanding. In fact, they even called it the Internet Industrial Revolution. China followed in 2015. I think we also have followed as a country about a year or 2 years ago with our 4IR strategy. And I really hope that we can have clear implementable plans so that we can also take advantage of this 4IR. Now, furthermore, if you unpack the fourth industrial revolution and link it to what is happening today, I would like to put it to you that at the center of the fourth industrial revolution is the digital technology. And then you have the 8 elements of the fourth industrial revolution. And then you have the fourth industrial revolution being applied into particular industries. So maybe let me unpack the core so that you can understand how the 8 elements of the fourth industrial revolution link, and then we'll get to talk about the those elements. The core is the digital technology. This is telecoms, IT, broadcasting. These today are interlinked or connected by the World Wide Web, the internet, and the internet protocol is a major drive in any one of these. In fact, today, if I say to you, show me your phone, you'll show me a computer that behaves like a phone. Your laptop has to be connected to the internet. Your TV is connected. So everything that you have around digital technology is now connected to the internet. In fact, that's why they're actually even making digital migration very difficult because of some of these advanced developments. Now, the 4 IR components that I'm going to talk about that are upon us today, beginning to impact our lives, is the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, robotics, cybersecurity, and nanotechnology. In chapter 26 in the book, you'll see the introduction to fourth industrial revolution. And this chapter was written with the chairman of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, who's also German, by the way, so that you can see how much, well, it's German Swiss, whichever way you look at it. If you talk to those people, if they're German Swiss, they also have allegiance to Germany. So you'll see a lot of these elements beginning to show impact in our lives, and you're starting to see a lot of technologies being developed and starting to be present in our lives. So let me go straight to the first one, the Internet of Things. Internet of Things is nothing but having a situation in which everything is connected to the internet, and the things that are connected to the internet then get controlled remotely by the people who own those things. So as an example, you can have your house connected to the internet where you can switch on the lights, switch off the lights, and view what's happening in your house. It is already happening today. A lot of network operators are starting to venture into how they take advantage of the Internet of Things, and it is said that the number of gadgets connected to the internet is going to increase exponentially. But I mean, with the whole Internet of Things, I will make an example of how it can actually benefit us is what we call the internet fridge. With the internet fridge that will be connected to the internet. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of people will tell you that 4IR is going to kill jobs. And I want to demonstrate to you why I think it will not. It probably will develop, it will create new jobs. If you take the internet fridge as an example, all our homes right now have fridges. And I do not believe that everyone is going to be buying new IoT fridges. So a lot of people will need to convert their fridges from being the normal fridges into an IoT fridge. That is a task that has to be carried out by someone who will understand what they're doing. We've actually developed one of the prototype of converting a normal fridge into an IoT fridge. It's a job that can be created for a young person, and that young person can be the one who can go into a house, into your home, and convert your fridge and convert your gadgets and everything so that everything can be connected to the internet so that wherever you are, you can be able to view it. So with South Africa having around 15 or 16 million homes, you're talking about a lot of jobs for our young people to do this. And I always say this, if we do not do that, and the people who are going to do that for the young people is going to be all these foreigners who are really running our technology sectors in our communities. It is said that by 2050, we'll have 100 billion devices that are connected to the internet. Already by 2025, or 4 years from today, they say the whole IoT industry will be worth $6.2 trillion with the dominant elements in there being manufacturing and health and so forth. I always make this joke around health that the IoT gadgets such as your pacemaker, you'll have a pacemaker connected to the internet so that a cardiologist will even know before the family of the patient knows that the patient is having trouble. And again, if they get hacked, and you can have internet assassinations if you think about some of those things, which is why security is important. So your homework right now to think about it. You're going to get this presentation, by the way. Then when you read through it, you can maybe also go through some of these elements that I'm not going to elaborate in detail on. So you need to start to identify what are opportunities that are related to IoT, what are the risks that are related to IoT in your career, your organization, private life, and community. Do you have an action plan on IoT? And if you have your children to start to begin to understand the IoT, how are you going to empower them to be ready for the IoT? Next technology is the artificial intelligence. This is nothing other than a computer that can learn, and a computer that can learn, that can make deductions, a computer that can decide, that can think, that can be able to make decisions. In some cases, they can make decisions that are more complex than what human beings can do. In fact, these computers are also called supercomputers because they have they need to have some serious processing power for them to be able to take into consideration all the different factors and the data. Big data is talking to issues around artificial intelligence because they need a lot of information to take decisions. So, by the way, you're starting to see it already in when you are browsing some of the rudimentary applications of AI, in that when your computer, you leave all the cookies. I'm sure you've seen a lot of websites are asking for a cookie. All of them, they leave cookies in your computer. And when you go somewhere, they already know what you like. And they'll even tell you, oh, here's a suggested thing. And you think, wow, I'm lucky that this thing is giving me something that I'm interested in. No, it's not just that. It's because your computer has learned you. It knows what is it that you're looking for. So AI is the thing right now that is going to start to dominate the world. In fact, it's starting to dominate a lot of decision makers about how they're designing their technologies and their services. Different aspects of AI. You can get interactive AI, text AI, visual AI, a lot of elements, a lot of sub divisions within artificial intelligence. And you also get AI within the Internet of Things. So you also get AI being subdivided into different functionalities around speech, vision, and you also get AI that can also be used for planning and optimization. So if you go, like I said, on the book, I think, I can't remember whether I did put in the chapter. Yes, on chapter 29, we do elaborate a lot around AI. Again, on artificial intelligence, we do say that you need to think about what are the opportunities that you see related to your career and what are the risks that you see around artificial intelligence, and make sure you start to empower your children around AI. And if you can have some action plan as a business, even as a family, I always encourage people to look into this. The next one is called nanotechnology, and it is a combination of biotechnology, various spheres of robotics, you name them, all put together to operate at a scale of nanometer. They say, if you think about it, at a nanometer level, you get 100,000 nanometer thickness of the paper that you see. A piece of paper that you see is 100,000 nanometer thick, just to give you a sense of how small is nanometer. So you can even see it with a microscope. And at this level, they say that you'll be starting to having things that can go and solve problems that you cannot solve at the bigger molecular level, at a bigger scale. So you can also get a nanobot or a nano technology solution that can solve maybe water purification, or you, instead of medication, you can get some of these robots at this level that can be injected in your body to go and solve a problem. If you have a liver problem, they go and solve a problem in the, I think they call them nanites or nanobots that can do those types of things. In this country, there's a lot of development, by the way, around nanotechnology. Again, I do say you need to also spend time to understand it. Do understand what the opportunities around nanotechnology. If, as an example, you are in the clothing industry, they say you're going to get some nanotechnology manufacturing solutions where you can have fireproof cloth that can never burn, as an example, for firefighters. But what are the risks associated with nanotechnology? There's been a conspiracy theory that says that the COVID-19 vaccine is injected with nanotechnology to do all sorts of things in terms of tracking us and so forth. How true is that? I do not know. I'm not going to be saying it's true or not true, but I do know that there's a lot of developments around nanotechnology. Get your children to be interested in this, because in future, this is going to be their jobs. And I'm going to talk about jobs later on. And also, if you're in business, try to look at how is this going to affect your life. Next one is additive manufacturing, which is also called 3D printing. It's a very, very exciting field that is going to replace conventional manufacturing. Additive manufacturing is nothing other than a printer that has got these injectors of material, and it then manufactures on the layers. So it like adds a layer over a layer and layer until it produces whatever it is that has been specified. And whatever it produces, it could be shoes. In future, they say you're going to do 3D printing of food and all sorts of things. One of the 3D printing thing you can do today, you can 3D print a gun that cannot be detectable in the these metal detectors. You can imagine a gun that shoots in 3D printing, 3D printed bullets that can kill. And in the US, they've started to outlaw the specifications of that gun. In our country, I think with the 4IR policies that we're going to have, I really hope that we can fast track some of these legislations that can talk to laws to outlaw such development, so that we can make sure that these technologies do not provide a risk in our lives. You can also 3D print things such as, I know in the rail industry, they're already starting to 3D print parts that they have to wait for from Europe and so forth. And the car manufacturers in this country sometimes don't have to wait for car parts to come through. They 3D print them locally. And you can also 3D print a heart before the surgery, so that you can be able to understand what it looks like before you can make a cut, because you can take a picture of that heart and do all the sonar and x-rays and come back and say this is what the heart looks like before you can do the surgery. So 3D printing is a major sector that is going to be dominating our life, and is already starting to play a role in a lot of manufacturing industries. And people need to know what are the opportunities that are there and what are the risks that are related to 3D printing, and make sure you get your children to understand, because some of them are going to get jobs in these sectors. If you're in business, like I said, have a plan on 3D printing if 3D printing can replace your business as well. Next one is autonomous vehicles. These could be cars driving themselves or driven remotely via the internet to be told where to go to. It is said in the future, I know in the UK, there was a pilot project where trucks were on the autonomous vehicle space. And I think some of them are beginning to do it even for the taxis and so forth that can drive themselves. So in future, you'll have a lane on the freeway with the cars that are driving themselves. In this country, I've actually seen a few of autonomous vehicle tests that were taken. And again, it's a huge development that will also have legal implications, because if you think about it, 3D printing an autonomous vehicle can also be around when you get knocked by this car. Who is responsible for it? Or if it knocks another car, or if it kills a person, who's responsible for it? There are laws that will be needed to cover such eventualities. You can imagine the technical detail that will have to be used to analyze exactly what has happened in there. And on the air, autonomous vehicles that can fly as well. These are your drones industry. And in this country, the drone industry is growing exponentially. We already have, I think now, more than 100,000 drones that are there. And legally, by the way, you also have legal implications around the drone on how far you can fly a drone, what does it mean? And there are certain drone sizes that if you want to fly those drones, you need to have some licensing, and some of those licensing are similar to the licensing that is needed by the pilots who are flying jets out there. So autonomous vehicles or drones are a huge business, and the applications of it could be, I know in Russia and in Europe and in the US, they're already talking about taxis that are going to be flying you. I'll get a taxi that can take me from here to wherever that I want to go to, and already delivering in the US, by the way. And I've seen that even in the, I think in Rwanda also, they're delivering medicine using the drone industry. Again, what are the opportunities that are there around the autonomous vehicles? I see a lot of risk really around the accidents, and that I'm thinking of, and I really think that we in the country, we need to start fast tracking some of the laws that have to do with the challenges that are linked to this. Children have opportunities here to be drone pilots and so forth. So make sure that, and by the way, they play a lot of games. The more they play a lot of games, a lot of these technologies, by the way, they use the game controllers to be able to do the flying. Also, if you can in business, have some action plan around autonomous vehicles. The next one is robotics, which is a very interesting sector that is growing already. In fact, if you go to Incredible Connection, I think they are still selling some robots where you can buy and get your children to start to play around with. And it's also around robots that can go and do things where humans cannot go, especially I think in deep water, in mining, or they can even carry what human beings cannot do. And if you watch a movie called iRobot, you see that they can even go to an extent where they're going to replace humans and so forth. And others even go to an extent of getting robots as life partners and so forth. It's happening in this country already. So robotics is a major growth that is happening. And I'm going to show you something around robotics to show you how far this is not, how close we are with this thing.
This is why I wanted to phone me now.
If you can pick up the volume, Mr. Kuman.
Oh, sorry.
Will you call me? Sorry? Yes. Now. This is why I wanted so much. Just phone me now. Bethany speaking. Hello. Phoning for Bethany. Yes. Bethany, can you hear me? Well, you're right in front of me. But can you hear me down the phone? This is me. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. Walk and talk because I'm on the phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. I've integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. And it's on the 22 network. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98 by next year. When I phoned you, it was ringing. You were ringing. That's the speaker. So small. Okay, but when did you get this done? That course in Winchester. I had one finger done every night. I still need to use a handset to phone out. Look. Hello. Hi. Okay, but look, I can't believe you had surgery without touching me. Skin plants, not surgery, and I knew you'd be cross. But I'm 18, and you had that tattoo when you were 18, and it's the same sort of thing. And I wanted to ask you, will you do me a favor? What? Retell that. Please, retell that to me.
Now, if you think about how much this means around robotics, if people are going to be integrating them like this, that's why when you watch movies such as iRobot, I always say some of those things are not far off, because I remember some of us who were growing up in the 80s and we were watching Star Trek, we used to think that, no, you're not going to get something to talk like that. And yet today we're using that cell phone even more than the phone, physical phone that we grew up with. Again, there are major opportunities around robotics, and we are also going to get a lot of risks around robotics. I mean, if you think about this young lady who's got these subdermal implants that she's having in there, I don't know what are they going to be implications for her health. the wires that are inside. It's actually astounding to think about the implications in terms of the risk on robotics. Children will definitely be interested in robotics, so you need to get them, involved in these discussions. I always say, as a business, you do need to have a robotics action plan and be able to know how you're going to survive around robotics. Yes, Sis Lindy, you are right. The risk and the opportunities. Our education system, I can't even imagine the amount of work that is to be done to change the curriculum to adapt to this. I always say that part of that also has to talk to how we do education, because I'm sure a lot of us would remember the structure of the locus of the femothorax. I'll never forget that structure, and I always ask myself, what am I doing with that information? So the learning around this 4IR is not going to be the same as that. We're not going to be cramming. It has to be something that you can use. The next sector is called cryptocurrency, that I'm going to talk about, which is people are talking about it as if it's currency of the future. My view is that between the money that we know now in cryptocurrency, there's going to be a hybrid that has to accommodate the involvement of the central banks. The issue around the cryptocurrencies is that central banks are not involved. In Nigeria, as an example, they've just banned it. So what is cryptocurrency? Is nothing other than a code, a computer code, and that computer code becomes an asset associated, and it can be put in to be owned by a person. So when you own cryptocurrency, you're owning a code with a block that is within the code, and that block has your details on it to say this block report belongs to Lindiwe, and if it belongs to Lindiwe, that block, then the information of the block is put in that blockchain, in the chain reaction, so that all the servers in the world, they would know that particular block belongs to Linda. When we sell it to Linda, there's a changes on that block to move from you to me, and it becomes just like when you give me money, it moves from your hands to my hands. But in this case, the ownership of that block changes from you to me with the servers that get updated every, I think, 9 seconds or something like that, where people can then start to, change the ownership of the cryptocurrency. It's a major challenge. If you go to Sandton City, there's already a Bitcoin ATM, and yet in our country, we don't have regulations around ATM that are clear. I know the Reserve Bank is trying to get a handle on how to respond to cryptocurrency. And like I said, in Nigeria, they are starting to ban cryptocurrency, and people in there are not happy because it's also used in the dark web for a lot of illegal developments. I always say, if you get involved in cryptocurrency, you must be very, very careful, because there are a lot of cryptocurrency activities that are out there. People will tell you that they're selling Bitcoins, wada. I'll say be very, very careful when you get involved in that. Again, what are the major opportunities? And you have to understand the risks that are associated with cryptocurrency. If you're in the finance industry, understand what these financial business, the financial implications of cryptocurrency is. Elon Musk has just invested, I think, $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, and you can buy a Tesla car using Bitcoin. I know Microsoft and them are already accepting Bitcoins and so forth. So again, you can see that the world is already dominating, it's been dominated by these developments. What does it mean to us, especially in this region? It's actually a bit of a challenge. You also have children who have to be empowered in understanding cryptocurrency, because at some point in time, the action plan is not only needed at the personal or business level, it's also needed at a government level about what we're going to do with cryptocurrency. Last but not least, which is going to lead us to our conversation, is cybersecurity. Just to give you a sense, they say human beings are the biggest threats in the cybersecurity industry because of how we behave. And I'm going to, when you get this presentation, by the way, all these blue that you see in here, you can click to go to the links or the sites that are linked to it. And today they say the world is at war, the world is in cyber war. And I'm going to show you the meaning of this cyber war and going into the site that shows the cyber war. Hang on a second when I go to this. Okay, there we go. If you look at this website, when you click that blue, it will take you to this website here, Fortinet, to show you what you see here is not a simulation. These are real life cyber attacks between parts of the world. And South Africa, you can see it's highlighted there because we also get involved in this cyber war. Of course, the US is usually very dominating, either sending or receiving cyber attacks. And you'll see China and Russia also involved in cyber. So today, the world is in cyber war. It's not something that is going to happen in the future. It's already taking place today. And because of the fact that we're in cyber war, people have to understand what it means, because we are involved in South Africa in the cyber war, because the devices that we use are highly infected. A lot of people have devices that are used for this cyber war, and they're not even aware because they are called zombie machines. In fact, South Africa is known to be they ranked the third in the world as the highest hacked devices. This was a few years ago. I think we're no longer in that third level anymore. But one of the reasons why that is happening is because we like free things, and all these free things usually give viruses to devices to make our devices zombie machines. And the world needs a lot of cybersecurity professionals to solve the cybercrime that we have in the world today. Now, I also want to show you something around cybercrime and cybersecurity, in that cybersecurity and cybercrime are two sides of the same coin. The people with the same skills can be in cybercrime or they can be in cybersecurity, the very same skill. And you also have in the middle what we call hacktivists, people who use the skills to expose maybe government action. And these are the people like Julian Assange when they did the WikiLeaks. But the very same skills can be used for cyber criminals, and they can also be used to prevent cyber. And hence in the US, I don't know whether in this country they are doing it. In the US, they take cyber criminal to change them to work for government into cyber security. So cyber security is a huge business that is also growing, that we are playing in our country. And it has a lot of opportunities. It could be for you and for your children, but you also have a risk that are associated to cyber crime. And I'm going to talk about how we can resolve these challenges later on, and get your children to understand about cyber crime and cyber security, and be able to live a safe cyber life already, so that it becomes a culture for them. If you're in business and if you don't have a cyber security policy and processes, I think you have a major problem in your business. Before I elaborate more on cyber security, I also want to talk about life aspects that are impacted by the fourth industrial revolution. So you have people, product, process, and pouch that are affected by fourth industrial revolution. In fact, when you look at life today as we live with the COVID-19, you are seeing that we're already in the future mode of workers. In fact, people never knew that this will happen as soon as it is happening. Now we work anywhere, Zoom. Right now we're on Zoom. I mean, we haven't seen each other. We're having all this wonderful conversation. People work anywhere. In fact, if you think about it with Zoom, it's anytime, and people work on weekends and so forth. And it's no longer that 9 to 5. Things have changed. We're already in this future mode of an employee with the things that we do. And the information is shared so widely that it is no longer about information hoarding. Information is no longer power, but it's all over the world today. And the adaptation that is there around learning, it's actually amazing, because people adapt by learning from Google, from wherever. That learning has become different from where it used to be before. University used to be sitting at the center. And the careers are really evolving. These traditional careers of doctors, accountants, nurses, some of them are going to survive, and some of them are going to change. And some of them, there's a threat that they might even disappear. And there are careers that we see right now in the world that I knew. You're talking about social media experts. That's what people call influencers. Graphic designers are the ones who are now leading it. Online cybersecurity and online traders. These are the new careers that were starting to come, to the fore now. In future, you're going to start to see nanotechnologies. There's going to be jobs for our children or their children, where you're going to see 3D technicians, robotics engineer. you can see that careers are evolving. Because these careers are evolving, human beings have to start to prepare. And like Ulinde was asking, what is going to happen to the education that is going to prepare our children for this? So people have to adapt to the 4IR. We have to empower the individual, and we have to convert people from being passive to being active. And I think we also have to understand there's no 4IR expert. I'm not a 4IR expert. I just encourage people to live a safe cyber life so that you can start to have a handle in this 4IR expert. Products, you need to understand that your products have a small shelf life. There's an example around music, that they are closing music, all the CDs. I mean, think about how the CDs are disappearing in our own eyes. And I think people in this talk today are people who grew up knowing CDs, DVDs, and so forth. These things are disappearing as we're watching them because everything is online, because you don't need them anymore. There's a media player. You just put, even work with things such as Apple Music and so forth, is making you to see that music industry is changing. You need to, if you're in business, you need to know who's going to replace you, and where possible, keep the cannibal in the family rather than to wait for someone to design it yourself. And being bold is the norm, because if you're not bold in this space in these days, you're going to disappear. Partner with new player partners and seek out who are the competitors. And if you can, work with the competitors and understand what is it that can wipe your business out of the industry. So you also have to adapt the processes, how you make decisions. Things have changed now, because if you're taking too long to make decisions, by the time you wake up, things will be gone, and you need to get rid of these old processes that were there. I always emphasize this: there are no rules in the fourth industrial revolution, because even the laws are following the developments in the fourth industrial revolution. So the legislators are actually playing catch up in the 4IR. Money issues on the pouch. Again, like I said, there's a new definition of money that is emerging. It's called a cryptocurrency, or it's going to be a hybrid between the cryptocurrency as we know and the new one. And you need to revisit your financial processes, good people, and understand how cryptocurrency will empower you. And if you've got a risk department, make sure it understands how cryptocurrency is going to impact on you, and be proactive where possible, and stay legal, because cryptocurrency is actually outside even the legal space, because it's not even driven by legislation, because there's no legislation for it. Like I said, where possible, adapt the blockchain technology, because it is going to help you to know that this is how the future is going to be run. I'm going to emphasize this: there are no rules in the 4IR, and there are no experts in the 4IR. And like I said, legislators are following, well, they try to follow. Obstacles to 4IR is lack of proper education, technophobia, people were born before technology, and perception of arrogant IT people. IT people are some of the most arrogant people, and some of them, if you talk to them, you can see that they have high IQ and low EQ, and you can see they try, and they just cannot help it. Some of them are actually very, very on the side of being nerdish. So you can see the challenges that we have around that. And there's a perception that 4IR is supposed to be done by IT people, and some of them are just in a silo mentality. I work with IT people, and I'm also considered as an IT person. And where you see the passing of the buck around 4IR, everybody, when you talk about technology, they say IT people. No, it doesn't belong to IT people. And some are taking an ostrich mentality and thinking that they're going to, one day they will come up, it will be gone. No, it won't be gone. It will still be here. See the, sorry. So I'm now going to talk about how you can safely participate in the fourth industrial revolution. And I'm going to open up the discussion on the safe participation. First of all, I think I'm going to advise you to understand that nothing in life, especially in the internet, is free. There's always a catch in the internet when they're giving you something that is for free. I always say that if you're not paying in the internet, you are the product. You must learn about the fourth industrial revolution, because prevention is still better than cure. And I would emphasize this. If you understand, you have the knowledge about how you need to prevent some of these challenges, you are really attending to one of the most important aspects of you living on life. Prepare your family and your community for the 4IR, and you must understand how the 4IR it's going to affect your home, and how it's going to affect your community. That's why I was taking you through this presentation before we talk about how you need to live safe online. And understand the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution is the internet. So wherever you are, when you understand where there's internet, you'll be able to understand how to live safe online. And I would advise you to adopt the 12 steps of living safe online. I'm going to take you through some of them that we have in Safe Cyber Life so that you can see how it works. So let me take you through 6 of those 12 steps. The first step is you need to perform your technology and software audit. So at home, you need to have your asset register of all your technology. You need to know what is connected to the internet, what is not connected to the internet. If you have a Wi-Fi router, a lot of you have a Wi-Fi router that already has a password. By the way, you didn't set that password. That password was set by someone who came and installed the internet, that Wi-Fi router for you. Any Wi-Fi is one of the easiest hackable devices. So if I really want to come and hack your house and I'm the one who installed that Wi-Fi, and very soon cyber criminals are going to be part of these gangs where they're going to be joining these gangs and be able to come and look into your house. So they'll be able to, I know this house is using the standard password and so forth. They'll be able to come through you. Secure email. I always ask people, what email do you use outside your work email? You know, I think 80% of our country are on Gmail. And if you go online and say, what is the most secure email services on Google, it will give you all the other email services other than Gmail to show you that even they themselves, they know is not the most secure email. So get an email that is secure, that talks to you, that email that you're paying for. Again, if you're getting it for free, like you're getting each email for free, and like I said, if you're not paying for it, you are the product. And Google and them are already showing us how much they're controlling the world. Go and ask Australians today; they will show you, they will tell you how much Google is, and Facebook are already starting to show them who's the boss. Why? Is because people have become addicted to that. Parental and cyber health talks to you as a parent having control of your technology in your home. I mean, as an example, I always say children have to sleep at night. Why do they have to sleep with their devices? Devices have to be sitting somewhere and the children have to sleep, and make sure that the central point as a parent, you monitor, and there's a culture of the family that the devices have to be somewhere, and when they sleep, they have to go to sleep. Because at night, by the way, things can happen. They can start to get involved in some of the conversations. I'm not saying they won't do it during the day, but at night, this is where it becomes worse. Social media. Social media developments are so interesting these days. I'm sure you've seen with WhatsApp, Signal, Facebook, a lot of social media developments are taking place. People need help in understanding how to maneuver and be able to survive the social media. So as Safe Cyber Life, we cover support on that. Of course, we help you to understand the fourth industrial revolution with this presentation. Not only with this presentation, we have an app that will take you through what is 4IR. We also help you to prepare your family for the fourth industrial revolution. So we do take you through the 12 steps of the fourth industrial revolution that you can get more on Safe Cyber Life, where you can get the detailed manual. You can also get access to the portal. We also have an app that can support you on implementation of the steps, and you can also get cyber insurance of up to 100,000 rands. Now I'm going to sell. So one of the products that we have today that we've launched this week, by the way, when Mr. Mkwena, is the project where we have the cyber insurance, where we say protect and insure your digital space. So what does it entail? We've got 2 packages on that. One is called Safe Cyber Life Go, and the other one is called Safe Cyber Life Premium. On Safe Cyber Life Go, you get the 12 steps on living Safe Cyber Life, and I've given you a few of those. And you also get to have access to the portal, and you get regular cyber alerts, and you also get to have cyber insurance that comes with terms and conditions. I'm going to show you the partners that we're working with, where we can give you cover for the theft of funds if you become a victim of cybercrime, where you become a victim of identity theft. We also help you with data restoration if you become a victim of cyberbullying, or your child become a victim of cyberbullying, or if you become a victim of cyber extortion. You can claim up to 50,000 rands, and there's a monthly premium of 299 on that. And if you do take the annual premium, there's a 10% discount. And then on the premium version, you get up to 14 steps. Here we've also added online banking as well as the cyber law, so that people can understand how that is going to affect them. And in the app, you can also get the premium version of the app, and we also give you the premium version of the cyber alerts. You also get here, which you don't get on the Go package, cybersecurity antivirus from Kaspersky of 5 devices. And on the cyber alerts, which covers on both sides, we give you cyber alerts, we give you information that is very relevant to you. As an example, we've been supporting clients right now around the implication of WhatsApp. A lot of people are saying, I know this WhatsApp is not going to impact me, it's not going to be affecting me. I'll say watch the space. And if you haven't read the news today, Australia is actually feeling the pinch of what we've been warning people about, saying that these social media, once they get hold of you, they will take some very, very harsh decisions. I don't know if you've seen in Australia, the Australian government has decided to get Facebook and Google to pay for sources of news that are coming from Australia. And Facebook is saying, we're not sure if you want to do that. I know that Google is trying to negotiate, and Facebook today said, no, we're going to show you. They started cutting some of the news feeds on Facebook. And it is such a painful thing because a lot of people have been using Facebook for sources of information. So it's become, you can start to see that some of these things should not be taken light because they are there. They're going to be a major challenge moving forward. I cannot imagine how in South Africa we would come up with digital tax, and Abutitombo and we probably would find it difficult to even do that. So on the premium version, you can see that the cyber insurance cover is even higher than you find on the cyber insurance. And on the premium version, also added in there is network privacy and data breach liabilities. If you do something and you cause network security or data breach on another platform, there's 100,000 that can help you, you know, for legal fees and so forth. A lot of people are going to get into this danger because of being victims, or some of them, they were not even aware that we're not even aware of what they were doing. And next thing, there's this huge case against you. So people will need to have some help in there. Or if you have privacy and data breach by a third party, there's someone that can be available to help you there. Again, the monthly premium in there is $4.99, and there's a discount for you if you take the annual package for $5,389. The partners that we work with on cyber insurance, these are the partners. Zone Risk is the lead partner, with Hollard I2 as the development partners, with the reinsurance by Munich Re from Germany. This is the package that we get, and that's why I was saying that in my view, every family, if you think about how we're moving towards the fourth industrial revolution, needs to have this. That's me, and this is my presentation. And I think at this point we can maybe take more questions that are there, Nuruzane, if there are any.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumalo. We have a few on the chat because the one that Lindy were touched on, you were able to answer. I think I saw something from Utulan.
Yeah, I see. I'm reading it.
Yeah. To understand that when you say, for I will create jobs versus the notion that people will lose jobs.
Is the ratio?
Yeah.
Is the ratio of the people who will be employable will outweigh the unemployable, taking into consideration our, yeah, it's a tough one, when Mr. Ngubane, because so we are involved as Safe Cyber Life in this education. By the way, within Safe Cyber Life, we also run a program called Cyber Cadets, where we have about 1,200 youth throughout the whole country who we're training on cybersecurity and 4IR. And we've been blessed to have support from organizations such as APSA, where we're giving them accredited and not accredited material. Because if you talk to accreditation regimes in our country, some of the things become very difficult to even get accredited because they're moving so fast. They move so fast, by the time you wake up, things are irrelevant. So our education system itself needs to be revisited so that it can be agile, it can be able to respond very quickly to these challenges. So it's up to how we react as a country to this. But let me give you my elaboration on this. if you think about our communities today, you go to any community you go to, who fixes cell phones in those communities? Who sells airtimes in those communities? And who owns the internet cafes in those communities? I bet you in a lot of those environments, the people who run those things, when they greet each other, they say, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. So I'm saying and I'm not being against the Muslim religion or anything, but I do know a lot of them are not South African. A lot of them are from Pakistani, Somalia, and so forth and so on. If we had a very flexible educational system where our kids can be given skills to run those shops, that's where the new jobs are coming from, because our requirements in terms of life is around that environment where we're leading more and more technology services. Again, if you go to them today, and by the way, a lot of them, when you buy airtime at an auction, you realize that airtime, R5 airtime, they sell it for R5.50 or R6. So they're already putting 50 cents or R1 that is actually even illegal. So these opportunities are there. And for me, I see it as more jobs that can even be done for SEPs. SEPs needs to be doing more enforcement in the digital industry. And if you go to the police and you talk to them, they have no clue about what they need to do, because the enforcement is not even in their mandate for them to go and enforce rules for the internet, because they are also the ones who go to these guys and say, fix my phones, fix the screen of my phone. So it's a major challenge. So I agree with you, it's a challenge. And hence I'm saying, if people like us as leaders, as the Black managers can start to think about these things and can start to support the growth of this industry, and can also become more active in effecting change in this industry, we'll start to see the results, so that the ratio that you're talking about, we can start to have a positive benefit to it rather than the negative. But the negative benefit will be worse if we don't do anything, because the people will be coming to convert those fridges. It will be the very same Pakistanis and the Somalians that are running the digital technology in our communities. Like I said, I'm not being xenophobic, but I love South Africans more than others, if that's okay.
No, thanks. I don't see another one, but you spoke. I like that when you said when you are not paying, you are the product, so nothing's for free. And we go into the airport, we go into the mall, in all those spaces, we find ourselves with this Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. What are the risks there? In terms of all those things, and how do we protect ourselves?
In fact, Dwami, Wi-Fi access in the public places is very interesting, because when you join those Wi-Fi, they actually tell you, it says, it actually gives the risk to say your communications might be monitored. I use those Wi-Fi, but when I use that Wi-Fi, I don't do internet banking, I don't do emails. Maybe I use that Wi-Fi if I'm watching Netflix and so forth and so on. People use that Wi-Fi where they're exchanging very critical information. And some of them, and by the way, if you do use that Wi-Fi, make sure you use it with a device that you do not mind that that device can be monitored. But again, if you're using one device for everything, I would never use that Wi-Fi if I were you. I would use maybe a device. So make sure, because you already have different devices, understand how you're managing your devices. And hence I'm saying within Safe Cyber Life, one of the things we're doing for clients is to help them understand how you manage your devices vis-a-vis this risk, because you can be able to be clear in understanding how you manage those risks. So those Wi-Fi networks, especially the free ones, like I said, nothing is for free. There are people who give you those things for free. If they know why they're giving for free, they know exactly what is it that they want to get out of it. There was a question, by the way, I don't think we answered, from Ulindi around cryptocurrency to be the currency of the future. There's not much noise on this. There is. There's a lot of noise around cryptocurrency. If you Google cryptocurrency right now and understand how it is affecting different parts of the world, it's just that in our country, if you watch the news in the evening on DSTV, just browse between the different channels. What we focus on in our country, what the rest of the world focuses on, are two different things. So if I were you, I would also watch the other TV channels. I mean, today there's been a big noise around the whole Australia Facebook situation. I haven't seen a lot in South Africa being covered about that. So, and hence I'm saying the rest of the world is talking about this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumal. I think it's been an interesting session. We have really learned a lot as we will be at home, working from home, in our small businesses, and in the e-commerce. You have highlighted about how vulnerable our bank cards are. For personal consultation, I see the details here. I think colleagues will be able to get in touch and see how they protect themselves, and get some form of advice when it comes to the things that they are doing in their professional and their business life. But let us all be careful, guys. I was shocked that our computers can be zombified and used in these cyber attacks because of us using free things. So let's try and protect ourselves going forward. So I think we have covered everything. I don't know if there's anything that we are leaving behind, but I just want to appreciate you, Babu Kumalo, for giving us this time in the evening and speaking to us and sharing all this important information. Just want also to thank the attendees who have come in and engaged with us, even on the chat box. To thank Untlanhla, our provincial administrator, who was able to coordinate this thing on our behalf, as well as the marketing team, Itumelem, who's helping us, connecting us in the head office at this moment in time. So from the side of the branch, we are very anxious, praying. Some of us who are good in these things of prayer and looking at how developments are going. We miss all of our members. So hopefully in the nearest future, we'll be able to get back to our normal activities where we're able to take forward the programs of the branch, and we should be meeting in our WhatsApp groups. We will share also this presentation. We will share it with Untlanhla, who will be able to send it to your emails. The same way you confirmed attendance, you'll be able to get the presentation probably tomorrow. So thank you very much for attending tonight.